We do come here often and sit here and have a nice tea. In over a course of centuries, new inventions have come. Car has come, aeroplane has come, radio came, TV. They have been game changers, but they never changed lives. The digital technology which has come in last few decades, it's not it has changed lives. It has changed everything. We used to use the technologies. We used to use cars. We used to use so many. But this is using us now. We are not using digital technology. Digital technology is making use of it. It is not a thing like a routine invention or a routine change which has happened. And we can see a lot of discussions can happen on it. The good points about it, which are huge, which are immense. The communications we do it with, we used to call to a foreign land. It would take us so much amount of money, so much time. Now everything is a small village. The data we can get, especially we doctors, when we had to make a thesis in 70s, it would take us months to stay in library and go through the literature. Now it can be done anywhere. You can work from home by this technology. This is like a glass which is half full. The fuller part looks so good about it, but the empty part is huge, and I think we should all talk about it. And the best thing would be you could ask questions, clarification. We could also ask them, and it becomes highly interactive that way. Kasser, you could continue.
Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you, Nas Saab, Zafar Saab, Professor Sushil, and all dignitaries here. I think I would definitely go in for an interactive session rather than individual comments. It will bring up the discussion and finally the points. I think that's better.
Assalamu alaikum and a very good evening to everybody. I am Dr. Naveed, pulmonologist in GMC. So it's a pleasure being here and invited to be part of an enlightened forum. So just I want to make a few remarks that this digital platform which has come to us, I think it started as a luxury which was not available to everybody at the outset. Then it became a necessity. And now I think it is really becoming a liability for us, because it's not only involving the young generation, but even the adults are also getting addicted to it. As Nasir Bhai said, that it's a thing which we can't even notice that we are really getting addicted to it. So I think it's the need of the hour. And I think President Trump has started since first day in office that he's planning to ban all the online meetings, and all work from home is going to stop. And I think we should take a lead from there, and I think it shows us the real ill effects of this digital platform. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Majid. I am a consultant psychiatrist and I am in charge for addiction treatment program for Directorate Health Services Kashmir. I would at the outset I would like to congratulate Nasir Saab, because the previous program generated a lot of discussion around that whether we are going through a phase of evolution when it comes to digital media, or it is a real addiction as such. But we need to understand something, that in the last century, once there was a universal electrification of our houses, that reduced our sleeping time by around 1.5 hours. And there's a direct correlation between reduced quality of sleep, reduced sleeping time, and common mental health disorders, which include depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and psychosomatic illnesses. So, with the digital evolution, although there are no major studies as such how much it has affected our sleeping schedule, but we all acknowledge that individually it has affected sleeping schedule of every one of us. So there, it has a potential to lead an increase in common mental health illnesses per se if it is unregulated. And then certain things like would we allow it to go its natural course, or we should have some guidelines or some legislations per se. No, we are so strict about child pornography. We are so strict about handing over a cigarette to somebody who is less than 18 years. We have legislations against handing alcohol to somebody who is less than 21 worldwide. Okay, because the contemporary understanding is that a child needs to be nurtured in a proper environment and not in an environment which has deleterious paraphernalia around. So the thing is that this Australian ban about social media for the kids less than 16 years of age, maybe we may need to think something similar. And like I often mention about the American Pediatric Association guidelines about the screen exposure in different age groups. We should it should come from the medical fraternity. There should be a guideline for somebody maybe who is less than 18, and it should be collected from mental health services and pediatric services and other services as well. So my understanding is that we cannot let it go unregulated. It needs some regulation for sure. It is a part of evolution. We have to accept it. We don't know where it is going after, say, a decade or two decades from now. But everything going by its effects on kids, and there are so many studies, and they compare one social media with another. They have the kids who are on Instagram compared to kids who are on Facebook. They have more mental health issues, common mental health issues. Even when they have compared different social medias, and the shorter the time span of reels and other things, shorter is our attention span with us. So it is something which needs to be talked about, and I again congratulate Nasir Saab that for generating a discussion around it, and it has buzzed around, sir. Now I request Dr. Najib sir to have it.
Assalamualaikum. Good afternoon, friends. Chairman Nasir Saab, Zafar Saab, Professor Razdan Saab. It's a pleasure to have you. We already had a session last time, so I think I need not elaborate more. So I will just summarily say there are 3 points which one should touch. Firstly, in this digital age, this is a necessary evil. This is so interactive, it gives you so much information, so much knowledge, and it keeps us abreast with all the latest knowledges. And as a doctor, as a surgeon, it's very good that I have a relation with the patients on the phone. So, but at the same time, I think we have had a lot of digital overload, and it's causing us social as well as medical problems. On the social aspect, I would talk about the behavioral changes. People's behavior has changed after so much digital overload, and people have a very short attention span. And what amount of focus I used to have many years back, now I don't have. I will read a book, maybe flip through 10-15 pages and then stop it and go to another book. So personally, it's a problem for me. At the same time, you've got so many apps like the Amazon and other apps from which we go on buying every day. And people have amassed so much. I don't think really one needs so much. And in this digital age, these types of apps have really helped the companies itself, but at the same time, the small grocer and the shops, they're empty. They are empty. They're empty. Then the third aspect will be the medical aspect. So once we sit on the net, sit on the phones, so you tend to accumulate weight. And obesity, it's a big issue. It's causing you so many problems. And Professor Razdan Saab, being an eminent neurologist, he is quite abreast about nerve entrapments these patients are having, like you get the carpal tunnel, ulnar tunnel. So these patients come to Dr. Saab as well as to me as well as an orthopedic surgeon. So if we summarize this digital age, I think it has its benefits as well as its drawbacks as well. So I don't think I will elaborate more. I will pass on the mic to my friend Dr. Khurshid and he can elaborate more. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Najib. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon to everybody. I am thankful to the Secretary, Mr. Nasir Saab, for giving me this opportunity to be here today and sharing some of my experiences regarding the effects of these smartphones or electronic gadgets on your eyes. So, electronic gadgets, especially smartphones, are here to stay because life without them is almost impossible in whatever way we have. The smartphones today, they are not only becoming a device to communicate with each other, but they have also become a social supplement. Most of our greetings, condolences, whatever it is exchanged via these phones. The eyes are the first organ to be affected by their excessive use. Because when we are looking at the phone, you're using your eyes all the time, unlike any other organ. And what we are seeing today, in my practice, I'm seeing large number of small children coming forward with all sorts of ocular symptoms. And when we examine them, a large percentage of them do suffer from refractive errors and do require spectacles, especially myopic glasses, which is very alarming. Similarly, the elderly age group, although we think that it is only the children or the young adults who use these mobile phones excessively, but I also see the elderly age group, they too have been of late using a lot of these electronic gadgets and have started to develop a condition known as age-related macular degeneration, which affects the center portion of your eye, because of which we are able to see. And this leads to reduction in vision, even it may lead to blindness. So I shall be discussing later on, once everybody introduces himself or herself, that what are the bad effects, ill effects of this use of these electronic gadgets on your eyes, what is the reason for them, and what remedial measures can we take so that we are able to save eyesight in those who are using these electronic gadgets. That I shall be discussing once everybody introduces.
जीएनवार, मैं प्रेसिडेंट हूँ प्राइवेट स्कूल्स एसोसिएशन का और चेयरमैन कोचिंग सेंटर्स एसोसिएशन। हमारे जफर शाह साहब चूँकि नॉन कन्वेंशनल टीचर हैं, अक्सर हमें डांटते रहते हैं कि यू शुड गिव सॉल्यूशंस। जहाँ तक प्रॉब्लम का ताल्लुक है, ये ग्लोबली चूँकि 1.5 साल पहले जेफरी एवरेस्ट हिंटन ने भी रिज़ाइन कर दिया, जो गॉड फादर था, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस का गॉड फादर माना जाता है। इतनी बात नहीं, लैरी पेज जो गूगल का को फाउंडर है, एलान मस्क के साथ उसकी इसी पे अनबन हो गई कि यू आर नॉट टेकिंग एआई सीरियसली, इट्स ए ह्यूज रिस्क। सीधी सी बात है, इट्स वेरी स्कैरी सिचुएशन, एवरीबडी नोज इट। आप ग्लोबल तनाजुर में देखिए तो इंटरनेट तो लिमिटेड है नहीं यहाँ। अब इस पे रिसर्च जो ऑल ओवर वर्ल्ड हो रही है वो भी स्कैरी है, एग्जिस्टेंशियल अब जो रिस्क है। अब इन हालात में अगर हम चाहते हैं कि थोड़ा बहुत कुछ हो जाए कि जिससे हमारे बच्चे इससे सेफ हों, तो देखिए सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम यह है कि हमारी टीचिंग लर्निंग प्रोसेस जो है 90% ऑनलाइन है। आज जितने भी हमारी टीचिंग लर्निंग प्रोसेस हैं, इसका एस्पेक्ट देख लीजिए। इसका दूसरा एस्पेक्ट जो रिसेंटली एसर सर्वे एनुअल स्टेटस रिपोर्ट ऑन एजुकेशन जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की आ गई, बड़ी स्कैरी सिचुएशन है, क्योंकि लर्निंग टीचिंग लर्निंग लेवल्स जो है, लर्निंग आउटकम बहुत डाउन हो चुकी है। जम्मू कश्मीर की बात कर लीजिए, 10% लिटरेसी रेट डाउन हो चुकी है। اور اس کے ساتھ اگر ہم صرف NAS کی سروے دیکھیں وہ بھی بڑی گرم پکچر جو ہے دکھا رہی ہے. مینس کہ اس موبائل کا ڈائریکٹلی انڈائریکٹلی اب ٹیچنگ لرننگ پہ بہت ہی برا اثر پڑ رہا ہے. نالج لیول ڈپ ہوتی جا رہی ہے. انفارمیشن لیول ہو سکتا ہے کہ انکریز ہو لیکن نالج لیول جو ہے وہ ڈپ ہو رہی ہے. ان حالات میں ہمارے لیے مسئلہ یہ ہے کہ ہم کہتے ہیں کہ اسکرین ٹائم کم کر لیجئے. میں ڈاکٹر صاحبان سے کہتا ہوں آلریڈی جو ہے وائز اسمارٹ فون ورلڈ میں انٹروڈیوس ہو گیا. وائز اسمارٹ فون بنایا گیا بچوں کے لیے, پیرنٹس کے لیے, لیکن وہ نہیں چل پایا کیونکہ ایوری تھنگ از کنیکٹڈ ٹو انٹرنیٹ. اب 1-2 سالوں میں چونکہ کلاؤڈ کمپیوٹنگ, آرٹیفیشل انٹیلیجنس, ڈیٹا انالیٹکس, یہ تو پورا سینیریو ہی چینج کر رہا ہے ورلڈ میں. ان حالات میں ہم کہیں گے کہ موبائل کا کوئی علاج ہے, جس طرح پالیتھین کا کوئی علاج نہیں, موبائل کا بھی کوئی علاج نہیں ہو سکتا. اب آلٹرنیٹیوز پہ آتے ہیں. آلٹرنیٹیوز پہ ہمارے لیے ایک آلٹرنیٹو یہ ہو سکتا ہے جیسے اس وقت بہت سارے کنٹریز میں ہو رہا ہے, ایڈوانسڈ کنٹریز میں, وہاں پہ جو ٹیبلٹس دیے جا رہے ہیں, کمپیوٹرز دیے جا رہے ہیں, اسکرین جو ہے آئی فرینڈلی ہیں, اس تعلق سے کم یہ ہے کہ بچے بہت ساری پرابلم سے سیف ہو جاتے ہیں. لیکن کشمیری میں ہماری پرابلم ہے کہ یہاں پہ چونکہ اگر ہم دیکھیں گے NEP کا فیلئر کا ایک وجہ یہ بھی ہے کہ انفراسٹرکچر سپورٹ آن گراؤنڈ نہیں ہے. یہاں ڈیجیٹل ڈیوائڈ بہت زیادہ ہے. اسمارٹ فون کی بات ہی نہیں, عام فون بھی عام بچوں کے پاس نہیں ہے. پھر آپ ٹیبلٹس کی بات کریں, کمپیوٹرز کی بات کریں, بڑے جو اسکرینز کی بات کریں جو ہمارے پاس اویلیبل نہیں ہے. اس کے لیے ضروری ہے کہ جیسے اگر یہاں پہ جو ریناؤنڈ لوگ بیٹھے ہیں جیسے رازدان صاحب, ظفر صاحب, ایک ضرورت ہے اس بات پہ کہ اب اس میں پبلک پالیسی کی ضرورت ہے. ضرورت ہے کہ جو بڑے اسکرینز جو ہیں یہ فراہم کیے جائیں ایز اے ٹیکسٹ بک آلٹرنیٹو. کیونکہ ہم کہیں گے آج ڈیجیٹل ایج میں کہ ہم ٹیکسٹ بک پہ جائیں گے, اتنا آسان نہیں ہے. کیونکہ میکسیمم اس وقت سنگاپور میں دیکھ لیجئے, ایک بھی اسکول دکھائیے جہاں پہ اس وقت ٹیکسٹ بک سے کام لیا جا رہا ہو. اٹس آل ڈیجیٹل. تو اب ان حالات میں ہم کس طرح سے اس سچویشن کو, کیونکہ ہمارے بچے اس وقت بہت ہی کنفلکٹ میں ہیں. ادھر سے ہم ان کو بورڈ کی کتابیں پڑھا رہے ہیں ٹیکسٹ, ادھر سے سارا ٹیچنگ لرننگ پروسیس جو ہے وہ آن لائن ہو چکا ہے. یہاں سے اسکول ہیں, وہاں سے اس کے ساتھ ہی کوچنگ تو ساری آن لائن ہو چکی ہے, یا وہ جتنے بھی بچے دیکھتے ہیں. یہ ایک ایسی سچویشن ہے جس میں ضرورت ہے کہ اس کو اس تناظر میں, ایسر کی تناظر میں, ناس کی تناظر میں, جو ریسنٹ سروے ہے اس تناظر میں دیکھیں, کانٹیکس میں دیکھیں, ہم اس پہ یہ غور کریں کہ کس طرح سے ہم اس ڈیوائڈ کو دور کر سکتے ہیں. تھینک یو.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, good afternoon. I'm Hina Sadaf Khan. I'm a research scholar and a concerned mother. This is really alarming for everyone that there are a hell lot of research going around the world, global level pe. Unanimously sab reports ye bol rahe hain ki screen addiction is growing. It's really alarming for every kid. At the same time, there are things going that these kids need to be given gadgets, ٹیکنالوجیکلی وہ بہت ڈریون رہنے چاہیے اپنی ایجوکیشن کو لے کر. بٹ دس ویری کانفلکٹنگ سچویشن ایز سر سیڈ دیٹ واٹ شوڈ بی دی پراپر وے ٹو بلینڈ دی بوتھ ویز, جہاں پہ ہارم بھی بہت کم رہے. اور یہ جو فومو کلچر ہو چکا ہے, فیئر آف مسنگ آؤٹ, اٹس گروئنگ ڈے بائی ڈے, اینڈ ٹیکنالوجی نے اس کو اور انہینس کر دیا ہے. سو آئی تھنک وی ول فائنڈ سم سولوشن ڈیفینیٹلی. Now my colleague will continue. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Saleha and a parent, definitely a concerned parent. The modern epoch is the era of communication. Being a communication graduate, I can understand it well. But at the same time, communicating devices are becoming detrimental, hence interrupting communication itself. So it's not the problem where جہاں پہ ہم ایموشنل اسٹیٹ کی بات کریں گے, نیگیٹولی افیکٹڈ, جو بھی اس کا نیگیٹو افیکٹ ہے, لونلینس یا ڈپریشن, ڈپرائیویشن ہے, واٹ ایور. ایٹ دا سیم ٹائم ایک بچہ امیج کانشیس بھی ہو جاتا ہے. بٹ ایٹ دا سیم ٹائم ایک ایسا کمیونیکیشن ڈیوائس کریٹ ہونا چاہیے, کمیونیکیشن اسکل کریٹ ہونا چاہیے جہاں پہ وی وڈ بی ایبل ٹو کمیونیکیٹ ایزیلی. اگر ہمارے پاس فون نہیں ہے یا ہم الیکٹرانک ڈیوائس کا یوز نہیں کریں گے تو ہمارا کمیونیکیشن ڈسٹرب ہو جائے گا, ہمارا بچہ پڑھ نہیں پائے گا, स्कूल तो जाएगा, लेकिन वहाँ पे हमारी जो डायरीज हैं, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक डायरीज, सॉरी, हमारी जो फिजिकल डायरीज है वो अब नहीं चलती, अब इलेक्ट्रॉनिक डायरीज आ गई हैं। तो एक तो वो चीज़ हो गई। और कुछ रिसर्च का अगर हम कुछ रिसर्च की तरफ जाएं तो एक रिसर्च जो रिसेंटली एक डिजिटल एंथ्रोपोलॉजी एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, उन्होंने एक रिसर्च दिस पेपर पब्लिश किया। किड्स स्क्रीन टाइम लार्जली जो है वो इसलिए बढ़ता है बिकॉज इट इज जस्ट इन ऑर्डर टू एनलार्ज द स्क्रीन टाइम ऑफ पेरेंट, इट्स टू एकोमोडेट स्क्रीन टाइम ऑफ पेरेंट, इसीलिए जो है किड्स स्क्रीन टाइम बढ़ जाता है। तो ये एक ऐसी सिचुएशन है वहाँ पे पेरेंट्स, स्कूल्स एंड अदर जो भी हमारे पास सिविल सोसाइटी है वो इस पे सोचे एंड इसको इसके जो डेट्रीमेंटल काज उनको किसी भी तरीके से हम कम कर सकें। That's it.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Tahir Pirzada. I'm a social worker and engineer turned pharmacist. I just want to make three points. Point number one, if we have to make use of phone, what is the right posture to use that phone? And what is the right posture for driving a car? And my second point is, there should be a time limit. A time should be set for using a phone. What is that time limit which we need to set for using a phone which does not harm our body, which does not harm our eyes? And point number three, if our elders use phones continuously at home, how can I tell my child not to use a phone? When I'm myself using phone for hours together, how can my child not use the phone? And although this is about digital addiction, I would like Dr. Sushil Razdan to throw some light about initial stages of Parkinson's disease, which is becoming very common in Kashmir. And once you know about it, it's too late. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone. My name is Nasir. I've been a radio host for good 14 years here, and we have spoken a lot on radio about digital addiction, and we have had a lot of doctors on the show. But my take on it is slightly different. And that's like, how old are we since we have been using internet? And living in Kashmir, since how long do we have internet shutdowns? And are we really talking about internet addiction? In what sense? About using the device? I think the onus should be the content we are seeing on internet. That is the most important thing, right? These days, you see a content which is, made like that, where the user, the consumer of that content gets, addicted. And for me as a parent also, it's my responsibility to make sure that what my child is watching, right? YouTube, Instagram, and your smartphone also, it gives you all the necessary tools to make sure that your son, your daughter uses the phone in a prescribed manner. Like, I have a YouTube channel at my home, and we have locks on it. I have a phone, we have locks on it. I have all the other internet facility. I can see what my child is watching, right? So these things need to be practiced by parents. And of course, Varsab is here, and I want to, ask Varsab that, as someone who is president of Private School Association, what steps is he taking in making sure that mobile phones and smartphones are not allowed around the schools? Unfortunately, we live in the times where we see mobile phone as something which is detrimental. But there are people who have made sure and made money out of mobile phones. You have bloggers, you have YouTubers, you have influencers all over, and they are doing some amazing work. So you need to understand, like, to what extent and how we are using a mobile phone. I would always advocate this, that we are living in an age where not using a mobile phone is not possible. You have to understand that your business transactions, your banking transactions, your relatives, your friends, family, everyone is just a click away. So how are you going to make sure that you're not going to stay in touch with them, right? We have had so many issues here. We have had lockdowns, we have had floods. These are the only gadgets which were there when we were able to, speak to our loved ones or make SOS calls. So staying away from it, or, saying that, they are causing a lot of issue, I understand that doctors have their own perspective on that, but I think that this is a necessity which we have to live with. We cannot, deny that. But then, as doctors, I would always, want you to talk to people, come on social media and tell them what kind of content they are seeing. Like you see all these social media things happening these days. You see a random social media guy with a camera and a smartphone and a mic. He barges into, everywhere, and there is no scope for privacy. People are slandered left, right, and center. Are we showing content to people where we are making sure that we are making mobs out of society? Unfortunately, so that needs to be taken care of. And I would always say that we cannot stay away from mobile phones. The school levels have to, the schools at primary levels have to take initiatives. As Dr. Saab mentioned that there are schools in Australia which have banned social media for kids. Why can't we do it here? Why can't we make sure that schools have no mobile phone policy? And if they have a mobile phone policy, why can't we make sure that what the school is offering? I would say, unfortunately, when we had a lockdown, and I would often see kids having online classes with teachers. The most unfortunate part was that parents were so aggressive and abusive with parents. Kids, पढ़ क्यों नहीं रहे हो, टीचर्स जो होते थे उनको डांटा जाता था कि आप ठीक से नहीं देख रहे हैं. सो आई थिंक कहीं ना कहीं मुझे ये लगता है कि इसको तो छोड़ नहीं सकते, हम इससे दूर नहीं रह सकते, बट द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग वी कैन एज अ सोसाइटी एंड समवन हु हैज अ से, ऑल ऑफ यू सिटिंग हियर can advocate the kind of content we have to see, the kind of content we watch, and as policy makers, as someone who's sitting there who has a say, you can make sure that that happens. Like instant rush, instant gratification on social media is something we need to keep our kids away from. And unfortunately you see, ये मैं सोशल मीडिया ट्रेंड आपको बता रहा हूँ. अगर आप कोई वीडियो कहीं चलता है, कोई उसको देख रहा होता है, बहुत सारे लोग कुछ लिख रहे होते हैं, एक बंदा कुछ नेगेटिव अगर उस पर लिख दे, देयर इज अ स्ट्रिंग ऑफ, मतलब सारे लोग उसी चीज को फिर खींच देते हैं, पकड़ते हैं और उसी के बारे में लिख रहे होते हैं. So that kind of mentality, we have to talk about it, and we have been very vocal on many occasions on that. So I personally think that we cannot stay away from phones. Ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome, Dr. Razdan. I have seen you after a very long time here. My name is Dr. Musharraf Masoodi. I'm an anesthetist, a concerned grandmother, not just a concerned parent. I find that, of course, it is a necessity these days for us because most of our work online, banking, be it communicating with friends, researching as far as our professional content is required, is done on the phone. So it is not possible to eliminate the phones from our lives or the screens from our lives. But as far as the parents are concerned, do we think that they are overindulgent as far as the children are concerned? If a child cries, give him a phone. If he refuses to eat, put the phone, put a cartoon on, and he will eat. Or tell him, I'll only show you the cartoon if you eat. So this is a kind of an indirect bribe as well, and the child knows how to manipulate it in future. Now, as there are drawbacks, of course. People are addicted to games, to gambling, to e-shopping, and to other social media sites, and they spend hours and hours on that. Family time, in fact, is also taken over by the mobile phones. People are sitting at dinner and everybody is looking at their screens, including the parents. So how do you stop the child from doing it if you yourself are not able to control it? One drawback of COVID was that everybody got stuck to their phones because all information, all communication, that was the only way to do it was through the phones. So it escalated communication through the phone for all sorts of things, including shopping, including how to look after your pets, how to look after your illnesses. Everything during COVID came through the phone. And now it is very difficult to extract that mentality out of our people. Of course, solutions have to start somewhere at school, on the social media platforms, as well as some government regulation to what sites can be shut down, what cannot be shut down. And I think that is a responsibility for our people generally in society, doctors, of course, who come across problems like Dr. Khurshid said, and the psychiatric fallout of addictions. And not only that, the financial fallout of addictions. Children who have taken parents' ATM cards and cleaned them out, playing PUBG and other things. This has also gone viral on thing. So it's not just for one part of society, whether be it schools or government. I think everybody has to come together in a consensus as to how to deal with this. With that, I'll pass it on to Dr. Javed Iqbal.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It was a pleasure to hear from Nasir Saab, the Chief Secretary of the Amar Singh Club, and Zafar Shah Saab presiding over the meet, Dr. Sushil Razdan Saab, a distinguished member of the medical fraternity, Dr. Naveed, Dr. Kaisar and others, Dr. Najib. Though I do belong to medical profession, but decades back, I stopped practicing medicine. Much later in life, I became a regular columnist. That was my choice. A writer of sorts. Though I have stopped contributing columns since the last few years, but I do work on my books. Some of them have been published, some are in the line. Well, we are here to discuss digital addiction. The very word addiction tells you a tale. That means we are meeting here to fight digital addiction. I think it's almost impossible to combat it. But what I have heard so far, what we are trying to do is to contain it. The distinguished members of medical fraternity have already given an in-look into how does it affect our eyes. Dr. Naveed, as a pulmonologist, how it would affect working in closed spaces, how in the long run it can affect your lungs or your heart, etc. I'll go beyond that. I think what we are facing is a matter of mass psychology. It's not confined to one region, say Asia or Europe or Africa. It's a global phenomenon. In UK, in Canada, I see my children, my grandchildren, working nearly 4 days in the home, with a day in a week in the office. They are working from home, they are working online. So this online working, online teaching, it's catching like fire globally. Well, technological explosion that we have been witnessing for the last few decades, it's phenomenal. Dr. Trumbu is on my left. There's hardly an hour when his Twitter handle does not post something on the Twitter X. And I keep on looking for spaces where I can creep in and fill in the blanks. Now, how can Dr. Trumbu contain it when he is himself posting at least 10 to 12 tweeters every day of his life? That doesn't mean his tweets are always a delight to read. The in-depth of his knowledge is amazing and surprising indeed, given that he is also second to none in pain management. Twice in my life he has relieved me of my cruciating, back pain, made me able to walk. So thank you very much for that. I hope I don't get any more backaches. Though as a colleague, I would like to interact with you always. I told you it's a mass psychological study. It's going beyond digital addiction, what you call. We're in the age of artificial intelligence now. The debate global is between deep sea of China and the Western, what you call chat GPT. Now the race is on. Which one is going to control human mind earlier and better, whether it is the DeepSeek or the Chat GPT? India is making a struggle to keep pace with the times. China is marching ahead. The West is in a tough competition. So you don't know when you go to the Google something. First thing you are asked whether you are a human being or not. So they pose a question which you have to answer. We have reached a stage where there is a fear that is artificial intelligence might control the human mind and human thinking and go beyond it. There is already a talk of robotic soldiers on fronts, various war fronts. So, as I told you, the phenomenon is global. I wish I had enough to say how to contain it. But there is a global attempt, and answers are not to be found easily, if at all. Regarding in our homes, it's become a thing of past to have a dinner or lunch together. Dr. Asmzes Banan will say about Sham Shkun, Ya Doiluk Bachuna Kyun, the Park Bachuna Kyun. So the whole family used to be there. It's a phenomenon of the past. We don't share our lunches, we don't share our dinners. We don't even share a talk with our kids. And when we are there, we are ourselves addicted to this smartphone so much that we don't have time for children and children don't have time for us. But that doesn't mean something has not to be done. And if something has to be done, there has to be a total societal effort on a very wide scale before we could do anything about it. And I believe we need many such meetings in future. And I wish Amar Sikla would cooperate in having these meetings in future to find answers. At the same time, at this time, it's very difficult for me to say what the answer is. The answer lies in how the future shapes up. And how the future shapes up is not known to us. It's not known in the best minds in the world. So with that, I would like my colleague, Dr. Tariq Ramu, to say a few words.
I am Dr. Tariq, anesthesiologist and practicing interventional pain physician. So, to start with, should we use mobile phones or should we not use? What is the time? For me, there are two big mysteries in the world. One is what was before the Big Bang, and second is human brain. So I don't want to go into human brain. For that, we have neurologists and psychiatrists here today. I will tell you that my experience as a pain physician, younger people with a lot of musculoskeletal pains are popping up, especially neck pains. Many of you will be knowing, and some of you who might not be knowing, is that when we flex our neck to see our smartphone, a 60-degree flexion of the neck will increase a load of 27 kgs on your neck. Because your head weight is anywhere between 2.5 to 5 kgs, and if once you see your smartphone like this, and you are increasing the load of 27 kgs on your neck. So the reason being, we don't know, like, because it doesn't cause any pain in the neck, but it takes a toll on your joints in the neck, what we call it as facet joints. And gradually they get arthritis of the joints, and which results in a long-term chronic pain, degeneration of the facet joints, which is in most of the cases irreversible. It's a reversible condition.
Our doctors will agree with it that because once the degeneration happens, it is not reversible. It can be treated but not cured. So, as my friend Tariq was telling right now, what posture should we use is very important because we cannot live this time in a digital world. We can't live without a smartphone because it's a source of information now. And secondly, this has to be taught in the school level, the posture, how you use the phone. Screen time is something what parents should guide the kids and like, okay. Secondly, we get a lot of musculoskeletal problems like carpal tunnel syndromes, recurrence, back pains. And you'll be surprised that the latest radiofrequency ablation of the cervical facet I did was a 12-year-old kid in Delhi. And the reason was a smartphone. So, a lot of musculoskeletal problems, what I can tell you about my own clinical practice, and the practices of neck pain patients is increasing day by day, especially in youngsters, thanks to smartphone. But because we can't stop the digital information, we need to guide people, we need to teach people the proper way of using these devices. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Roof Ahmed Punjabi, member of the Managing Committee. I would like to thank Mr. Nasir for picking up something very important. I was just 2 days back watching Dr. Kaisar Saab's interview on net. Now the point is whether we can do without mobile or not. My simple suggestion is that use or misuse. When I saw Kaisar Saab's interview and I attended first session some days back, I was also using, but now I realize I was misusing. Yesterday, Secretary Saab checked my phone and it showed out of 24 hours, I had used for 1 hour. And the best part is the mobile was saying, yesterday you used for 5 hours and today you have used only for 1 hour. So my simple suggestion is that we cannot, everybody understands, do without mobile. But how to use it to minimum, that should be the question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rup Saab. Over to you, sir.
You'd like to have interactive session now? Some questions. Yeah, Doctor would like to have some interactive session where you can pose questions, have answers. Some of you have expressed the inability to find some solution to